On today's Locked On NBA Squad Show West, which team in the Western Conference should feel most confident about their matchup and also their bracket? Let's talk about all that and more. Locked On NBA Squad Show West.
You are talking ball with the NBA West Squad Show, sponsored by Game Time. From the Warriors to the Lakers, the Mavericks to the Nuggets, and everyone else in the West, the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bring you all the scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive look at the Western Conference. Trash talk and big takes included. No holding back, we're giving the green light. It's time to talk NBA West.
And welcome. You're locked on to the NBA Squad Show West. My name is Nick Angstead, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. This is the Squad Show where we take over the feed of your favorite Locked On show. It's an open invite for any host to join and talk about anything they want in the NBA's Western Conference, especially in the playoffs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Joining me today from Locked On Thunder, the number one seed, up 56, Rylan Stiles. Locked On Nuggets, Ryan Blackburn. Locked On Lakers, Brian Kamenetsky. Joining us right now from Locked On Rockets, Jackson Gatlin, and a white wall. No, he's back. No, it was a wall. It was perfect that you were just a wall. Darian Vaziri, Locked On Clippers. Not from the wall and into a dome, but from a wall in his house. Gentlemen, we may go somewhere completely different, but let's start here. Who, after one game, we haven't seen game two yet. We're recording this on Monday afternoon. Who, after game one, should feel most confident about their matchup and about their bracket in the Western Conference? Maybe I'll start with Rylan. I don't know, for whatever reason.
I think it should absolutely be the team that won by a whopping. What was the final tally? What was the final score?
Yeah, it's clearly the Thunder. I mean, whenever you look at this first round matchup, it's a nothing burger. They beat Memphis 131-80 in game one on Sunday afternoon, and the Memphis Grizzlies just outright quit in the middle of game one. In the second quarter, their body language was dejection. They were shell-shocked. This is going to be a short order series, just like we all predicted. And then you look forward to the bracket, and the Thunder have to win one tough matchup to get to the West Finals. Every other team is having to play at least two to get to the West Finals, minimum. So the Thunder has had this set up really well for them in their quest for contention and their quest for a championship, because the Grizzlies are no threat.
Being at the Grizzlies play-in game against the Mavericks, their body language was so completely different. Ja Morant in that first quarter was flying around everywhere. He had that insane putback dunk. And then they played whoop that trick, and everybody in the arena was waving their towels around. And like, just the body language and the imagery of all that compared to what happened against the Thunder in that game one was insane, which I don't know what that says about the Mavericks. I don't know.
Nick, I don't know if you've heard
does the transitive property work in the NBA? But man, that was just a stark difference. Anybody else? I mean, anybody going to pick the Grizzlies? Can we get somebody in here? Anybody?
I mean, Nick,
can win a game.
Championships.
Let's do. Can the Grizzlies win a game?
Sure,
they can win a game.
Sure.
What's the path?
They could win a game. A lot of things could happen, Nick.
They can win a game. If they
win
a
game, though?
If they play Marvin Bagley 40 minutes.
Get Marvin Bagley some help.
It was the best player on the floor.
He's good. He's been good. He was good in Detroit. He was good in Washington. Like, imagine giving the players that actually earn their way as opposed to ninth picks who should have never been drafted to the team all this leeway and firing a good coach over it.
I can't believe we found another way to make this about Luka Doncic and just the guy that was drafted over him.
I literally just came from the Nico Harrison presser, and everything will be made about Luka Doncic in some way.
I'm very curious because I know, did you guys talk about Clippers Nuggets?
No, we're about to. We are recording this Monday before game two, so
I'm so excited to hear from Darian about how much he can believe in the leadership that he's going to get from noted, amazing leaders in a tough spot coming off the overtime game, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Is there any two players that you'd rather have leading your team in the heart that you need to win a series and game like this than Kawhi Leonard and James Harden?
Oh, I think that's insane. I think James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are like honestly very polar opposite in ways to me. Harden actually depends on how you define leadership. I think he's a pretty good vocal leader. No, I think he's a pretty good vocal leader. He actually gets the most out of the big men that he plays with. Every teammate seems to speak very highly of him, and he's really done a great job leading this team. The only thing I'll knock about Harden's leadership is sometimes he can be lazy himself on like defense and stuff like that, which doesn't set a great tone. But in the first game, outside of the fourth quarter, defensively, he was pretty good. I mean, If you get, what was it, 29 and 11 from Harden or 30, I forget exactly how many points he had. You're going to take your chances. Kawhi, while he does lack vocal leadership, you're acting like he's some choke artist in the playoffs. This is the guy with the third highest winning percentage in NBA history. He had a bad game, but like you're like writing him off like he's got no.
I'm saying that the other guys need leadership. Like Kawhi does fine. His actual Game 7 record, his elimination record for performance, not what you would expect.
That's
There's
fair.
a lot of narrative that goes into how we talk about Kawhi Leonard. It doesn't fit with the reality.
I watched a couple of games. I watched a couple of games where Kawhi Leonard was really good.
True.
Yeah, but they're playing the Mavs. Come on.
Yeah, the Mavs only make they only made fluky runs. That none of their runs were legitimate, and basically anybody that has won anything in the West has not been legitimate for Matt Moore.
What about against Milwaukee? Was that team week 2 in 2019 conference finals when they won 4 straight games?
Oh no, Fred VanVleet was great in that series. He was amazing. Come on. Props to Fred VanVleet for being the difference maker in that series.
I can't believe he wasn't.
Wait, Fred VanVleet can be a difference maker in a series? That's news to me.
Sorry,
I mean, but as far as I guess you're insulting the Clippers' mental resilience. We're gonna have.
No, I don't know. This is the question. Like, this is what's actually kind of fun. Is like maybe I'm wrong because you mentioned the Harden thing. I asked Ty Lue in preseason, like, all right, PG's gone. Like, who's been the leader for you? And he was like, it's James Harden. Like, he's been the guy that you need to do that. And there's like he leads by example. And I pressed him because I think that leading by example can oftentimes just mean like he's a good player and he doesn't actually do anything. And so I asked Ty Lue about it, and I was like, is it important for it to be one of those guys? And he was like, it has to be. And I was like, because Ty played and coached. And I was like, why? And he was like, otherwise it's just talk. Like, you have to step up and you got to do it, because otherwise you can say all those stuff that you want to, but you got to actually do the thing. And I think that Harden's leadership there actually is important.
Well, I think this season, and I'm not the first to defend James Harden about anything, but he has been great with the media. Zubac speaks so highly of him. Clearly, they've put in a lot of reps working in pick and roll. He's built. Zubac is playing the most confident basketball of his career, and there is a level of that's just his own improvement. But having a guy that teams consistently have to go over the top of screens, and we know Harden's a great pick and roll passer. Jackson could tell you that better than all of us here. So he's done a good job of getting. A lot of guys in the Clippers are having career years, and he's been running the show. So I do believe that there is some correlation there.
Ryan, just so many great words to say about a team that choked a 15-point lead.
They did, but I blame Kawhi Leonard more for that than Harden. And I believe Kawhi Leonard will bounce back. But you're right. It's going to test the mental resilience of this Clipper team. I think all season long, though, they've shown that they're pretty tough-minded and they haven't been, soft like the 2-1-3 teams with Paul George. And I'm not totally putting that on Paul George, but I don't know. There's some kind of there's something he radiates that gives off loser energy. Just ask the Sixers.
Well, while we're still talking about Nuggets Clippers, I just want to take a second. But hopefully, by the way, I hope the Clippers win this game by like 1 million. So Matt Moore.
And now look like an idiot.
Since we've already recorded.
Westbrook.
Can we talk though about Darian? I'm just gonna let you ISO for a second. Game 3 is on NBA TV.
Oh my God, Nick. This is an actual disgrace to the NBA. Adam Silver's, we talk about, we're not promoting this game enough. We're not promoting the NBA enough. Here you have an amazing first-round matchup that should be a second-round series. You got the best player in the world. He's won 3 of the last 4 MVPs. Like, this is a guy that is front and center in your league. You got James Harden and Russell Westbrook and Kawhi Leonard, who are some of the biggest stars of the last decade of the NBA. They have cult fan bases. Just ask me. I have to deal with them in the comments all the time and in Twitter. And we saw that first game. It's the best basketball matchup. That Rockets-Warriors series, I was very excited for it, but that was some nasty ball being played for stretches of that game. And I like those kind of barn-burner games, but the Nuggets-Clippers just clearly from game 1 passed my prediction of the best basketball, and then on top of that, the newest stadium in your entire league. Amazing stadium. Fans are fired up. First game in that stadium, NBA TV. For what matchup? Not the Warriors-Rockets, not the Lakers-Timberwolves. For the most lopsided matchup of this first round, we'll get plenty of OKC flowers and attention in the second round and further if they make it past the second round. But it's just, I can't even fathom it. On NBA TV for the first playoff game into it, I had a vision, Nick, of checking my phone during commercial breaks on Twitter and seeing everybody go crazy watching the TNT or ESPN broadcast of how amazing this crowd is. And now people are going to be searching on, Stream East for a link of the game.
Didn't they shut that down?
I got to be honest. You had me up to the point where you get to the arena.
Because you're going to say it's not important enough for the league.
I'm not going to say
for that arena.
I'm going to say that nobody cares.
At least for that arena, they have the wall, which is like some kind of novelty oddity that
it's actually like a cool arena as opposed to Staples Center, which is just like
Staples. I agree. Staples is not a great arena,
exist.
but the Lakers aren't on national television because the arena's cool. Like you don't broadcast the arena, you broadcast the game. I happen to agree with Darian though that the game should be broadcast on a bigger, because you have a really intriguing and very good Clippers team playing the best player on the planet.
I disagree. Brian, I tune in exclusively to see what's going on in the crypt. Okay, that's all I do.
Dude, I'll tell you though, you won't be able to miss
basketball.
Crowd. Won't be able to miss the crowd if it goes the way I think it's going to go. I mean, this is going to be awesome.
Coming up, let's get into the other series. Let's talk about that ugly basketball for the Rockets and the Warriors. Let's talk about Lakers, Timberwolves. Everybody on the Squad Show picked the Lakers. The Timberwolves won game 1. Let's talk about all that and more. Coming up, Locked On NBA Squad Show West. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Squad Show West brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds you can use to get in on the action. Check it out. Put down $5. You can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm looking at the series odds, and right now, my favorite one on FanDuel is Oklahoma City Thunder to win the series. Minus 10,000. You have to bet $10,000 to win 100 for the Thunder to get money on the Thunder to win the series, which is absolutely wild to me. Love it. We were just talking about Clippers and Nuggets. Nuggets minus 138. Clippers plus 118 to win the series. You can go check out those odds and all kinds of other stuff at FanDuel. Again, put down $5 if it's your first $5 bet and you win. You'll get $250 if that bet wins. Check it out, FanDuel.com. Again, FanDuel.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Squad Show West. Darian was so upset he became a wall. He became a wall again. He's now embodying the wall at Intuit Dome. We've got a great show that covers every single one of your favorite teams. Go check it out. Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Rockets, Thunder, Lakers, Clippers, all playoff teams here except for yours truly.
You guys are still in the intro. Just it's a testament to your pull around the network. The Mavericks are part of the graphics package.
Tough. People were definitely talking about the Mavericks more than they were talking about the Timberwolves before the playoffs, but for the worst reasons. Every single person on the Squad Show last week picked the Lakers to win this series. The Timberwolves win game 1. Anybody faltering on their pick of the Lakers? Or some of you weren't here last week. Do you feel differently than everybody last week? Everybody still confident about the Lakers? Brian, you're still confident about I
thought we were doing democracy here for a second.
This is democracy. One single person gets to decide for everybody else.
I thought at some point Minnesota was going to win a game at the Crypt, with the passionless building that Matt hates, driving the Lakers to a loss. I'm not surprised. I didn't think the Lakers played very well. I mean, that part of it was undeniable. And obviously, if it happens again in game 2, I think we'll all be rethinking our evaluations here. But Minnesota's really good. And the Lakers picked a bad night to, oddly, it's not even so much they were completely outperformed schematically or, execute. Like, they just didn't play as hard. Like Minnesota, like all the stuff that the Lakers need to do to fix what went wrong in game 1 starts with just moving with more purpose, moving with more physicality, setting better screens, cutting quicker, cutting harder, picking up defense. Like, I'm not saying that's all going to work, but like step 1 is like, you have to meet the requisite level of intensity and physicality to go. The Lakers didn't draw a foul in that, or didn't commit a foul in that game until the 4 minutes left in the second quarter. And it was Ant essentially sort of going through Reeves in the post, who was trying to body him up as best as he could. It wasn't like some sort of super aggressive physical foul that Reeves laid on there. Like, that can't happen in the playoffs. If you're not playing defense at a high enough level, if you can go, 18 minutes in the first half without drawing a foul, I mean, come on.
Was this just a LeBron game 1 feel out game? Luka has those as well. They lost every single game 1.
I don't like attributing stuff to like, oh, this is just how LeBron does. Lakers played like booty. They played very poorly in this game. They were not, LeBron wasn't intent. He has won game ones before. It's very common for him to lose game one. It's also very common for him to win game one. So they weren't intentionally just feeling this thing out and throwing it away. But his track record after losing game one and Luka's and all that makes me feel like it's not quite over yet. There's a lot the Lakers can do better, even notwithstanding changes Minnesota can make.
It does kind of feel
letting Jade McDaniels hit every shot under the sun, right? Like that's probably adjustment number one. Just stop him from hitting everything.
Isn't Jade McDaniels just gonna? I mean, like to some degree, if he shoots 85% again, like he's
only scored 20 plus 12 times this season.
Right. So you just sort of to some degree assume
that's going to happen again. Yeah.
It does also just feel kind of like economy of effort for this Lakers team that has played. They post All-Star break. One of the big factors for them and the way that they were guarding was that they were playing harder and having to scramble as often as they were with as small as they were. I think it was Jaden McDaniels who was talking about, I might be the tallest guy on both sides because they don't have a center that they are willing to play more than 8 minutes.
It's also they only play Jared Vanderbilt 14 minutes. And so we were talking about this in the show for today for Monday. Let's assume that it is a long series. If the Lakers can't develop some confidence to play Jackson Hayes, to play Jared Vanderbilt or whatever, not only are they going to be really small in terms of, just overall height. The Lakers are a long team and they're big, but you're playing without a center, you become sort of at least to some degree small. You're also playing with like 6.5 guys against a team that's featuring like 8.5. And over the course of a series, I don't think that could be problematic. Just that the Lakers' depth can be overrated in the playoffs. Who you are 5 to 9 doesn't necessarily matter as much as who you are 1 to 4. But you got to play some dudes, and the Lakers are threatening to play such a short rotation that it could become problematic later on.
Hey, join the club.
As there's often said that the culture of a team takes on the identity of their best player. So a team that gave no effort and didn't work hard and just kind of ran around and got points, that might track a little bit there.
You don't have anything nice to say about anyone, do you?
I mean, Austin Reeves.
I have a lot of nice things to say about Ryland's team. I have a lot of nice things to say about Ryland's team.
And Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Those are your two guys.
Listen, all you got to do is beat a team by 50, and Matt Moore's going to come around to you.
That's how you get the Matt Moore stamp of approval. You need a 50-plus deficit.
So nobody's wavering, though? Everyone just thinks it was one game? I was about to say, my excuse is I've been through a lot this year, and I haven't watched Minnesota play in months, and I had a bad pick. It was rash, and I didn't think this matchup through. The Lakers don't have nearly enough resistance to their best player compared to what the Wolves have. I mean, they have great defenders all over the board. I was realizing that LeBron, they're going to be okay switching Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert out to LeBron one-on-one, and it's going to come down to him getting downhill and really – because he didn't really create that many offensive advantages like normal, and it just felt like Austin Reeves, if he's not going to be able to get by these guys, I mean, because the Lakers have nobody for Anthony Edwards. They have no one that can stay in front of him at all. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what to expect from the defense, man. Like every time I'm like, oh, they're going to be like, they make the trade. I'm like, oh, they're going to be terrible on defense. And then JJ schemes up like a perfect weak side zone system.
Right. Like against the Nuggets.
To compensate. Like they're just terrific. And then they go through a stretch where it's like, no, they're actually terrible. I'm like, oh, okay. So like that was just a blip. And then they went back to being really good. Like,
why are we not overthinking the Clippers or the Timberwolves just shot 50% from 3 and made 21?
Because they were so open. The quality of looks were so good. It's like, and especially if the Lakers aren't making shots because the Wolves defense is getting stops, their transition defense is horrid, and it's been terrible all season. Right. So if the Wolves have a bunch of athletes, that's part of why I think McDaniel's like, he's not going to have 25-point games, but if they're not going to run with him in transition, he's going to get a lot of putbacks, and he's just going to be getting lobs. Like, it's a rougher matchup than I thought. I'm not wavering on the Lakers winning the series, but Lakers in 6, I think if the Lakers win, it's going to be in 7, in my opinion.
I think Darian's point, it's like, I know that so much attention's been paid to the defense and the open shots and all that kind of stuff. I think the Lakers lost that game. They scored 95 points, and it was an ugly 95. It was, Minnesota, if I'm assuming I'm interpreting what JJ was saying, surprised them by essentially playing straight on everything. And they I think we talked about this last week, like go make the Lakers into a one-on-one team, make LeBron play one-on-one, make Luka play one-on-one, make Reeves play. They might beat you. But you get one pass that way and then the ball's not flipping around. The minute you start to send extra players to Luka and Luka is throwing the ball to LeBron, you're done. And I think Minnesota understands that. And so the Lakers needed the offense was so stagnant that I don't think they gave their transition defense a chance. I don't think they gave their half court defense a chance. They were Minnesota never had to take the ball out of their own net. And they have to figure out how to get much more intention and movement and stuff into their offense. And that's sort of what I was talking about before. You got to move hard, move more, play harder, get, JJ talked about this at practice on Monday, get organized faster. Just everything needs to have more urgency with what they're doing. So they're not starting an action at 17 seconds into the shot clock. And they're doing it at 11. And I think that'll make a big difference.
I thought you and Andy did a really good job on the post-game show of talking about, like, essentially what you're talking about here is validating kind of JJ's point, because JJ's taking heat for kind of saying, like, well, he just didn't play very hard. And everyone being like, oh, so it's not your fault. And it's one of those things where if JJ screws up something, I feel like JJ is going to own it. He's going to be like, yeah, no, I had a very, very bad strategy tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Generally, yeah.
Versus like Ime Udoka, who's just, I don't know what he's going to do, cut a wrestling promo or something. But like, I thought you and Andy made a really good point about how, like, it really is about effort. Like, they get a hit first. If you don't hit the Wolves first, they will run over you. I will say, though, don't forget the last year the Wolves went up 2-0 in Denver, and we were like, well, this thing's a wrap. And then they lost the next two. They wound up winning the series. But I think that's like something interesting about Minnesota, that they're able to go on, like, they punch first. The question is, like, what happens when you punch back?
Yeah, I think that said, I think if the Lakers don't win game 2, I don't want to say they're cooked, because you got to win 4 out of 5 with 3 of those coming in Minnesota. That's a tall order.
Luka did win both game 1 and 2 on the road in the Western Conference Finals last year against. Just say that it's different team, definitely different. But
good
probably
big.
shouldn't have traded that guy. He's pretty good.
Probably should not have. Probably
He's a
should
little
not
player.
have. That guy is still employed. Let's get into the Warriors versus the Rockets. What do the Rockets do? How do they score points? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Squad Show West. We have a newsletter that covers your favorite team, LockedOnDaily.com, to find all those newsletters. You can subscribe to as many as you want, honestly. Clippers, Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers, Mavs. They have nothing. We have nothing to talk about all summer. And you can also subscribe to the Rockets. And if you subscribe to the Rockets, expect them to be very defensive. Jackson, you came on the Squad Show last week defending your boys to the top, and everything that we kind of said came true, or did it?
It did to some degree. Absolutely. It kind of manifested itself in, honestly, the worst way possible, which was Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet both coinciding to have like a pair of the stinkiest games you'll ever witness in the postseason. It was bad. 7 of 34 combined shooting for those two guys, which unfortunately for Rockets fans means 27 missed shots. And that number is going to curse our franchise for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's killer. I saw that number and I about lost it. I straight up walked away from my computer for a minute. All right. So look,
27.
Yeah. The Rockets half court offense has been an issue all season long. It's been a problem, but generally throughout the season, they've gotten enough out of their offense, be it with Şengün's consistency in the middle and then contributions from other guys up and down the roster, to be able to win some games, right? And the nights where they do lose, the losses that get really ugly in Houston are the ones where the exact thing happens. Alperen Şengün played out of his mind, had a phenomenal game, and nobody else decided to show up to help him out until it was a little bit too late in the fourth quarter. By then, they didn't have enough juice after getting into a 23-point deficit to come back out on top. But the likelihood of Fred and Jalen both having this bad of a pair of stinkers again in the series, I kind of feel like they just got it out of the way.
I don't see any way it happens again.
I do. I mean,
that's okay.
That's my no jinx co-host Ryan Blackburn. I don't know, man. Like, Jackson, my big one for you is like, is Jalen Green a 16 gamer?
I don't know yet. Game one doesn't look great, so we'll see. Look, I want to be genuine here and saying I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, right? They deserve at least one playoff series, for better or for worse, right? Let's see what these guys have. This is their first taste of postseason basketball for pretty much every major guy up and down the roster outside of the handful of vets that they have. Chalk it up to game one jitters, chalk it up to hat tip to the Warriors. Their defense was incredible. They pressured, they blitzed a lot. They made Jalen and Fred uncomfortable. And then Fred decided to go hero ball at the end, and really he was praying that any one of those threes would drop in, and none of them were falling at the end of the game. 1 of 5 shooting in that fourth quarter. Like, I want to see what they do over the course of a whole series. I'm not going to write Jalen Green off after one bad game. Now, if he has a second bad game, if he has 3 bad games, 4 bad games, if he's the Achilles heel of this Rockets team in the postseason, then yeah, we'll label him, hey, until you come back and prove it next year, or prove it on
right now off Jackson's
team,
Wi-Fi over down in Houston.
You're the one frozen, Nick.
Nick, you're frozen.
Everybody frozen?
Nick, why shouldn't you be fired? Huh? There we go.
Why shouldn't I?
Nick was the only one frozen.
Jackson, how did
I was over here
Easter
cooking,
yesterday?
Nick.
What'd you learn?
Jackson, how do you think Amin Thompson did on Steph? Because the stat line looks really good, but like if he's gonna get 31 on 19 shots, it's gonna be tough.
He really struggled early on in the game. He kind of settled in as the game went on and felt a little bit more comfortable there in the close in the fourth quarter. But early on, he was overplaying Steph. Steph was getting backdoor, some easier opportunities there. Rockets' whole defense was just kind of a mess in that first half. Ime Udoka deploying the double big lineup with Steph out there was dangerous, and that was a major gamble. And then Warriors made him pay. They kind of cut through the zone like Swiss cheese and then got buckets right at the rim. The defense tightened up there in the second half after going down 23 and being able to kind of force your way back into it. But again, offensively, like it just kind of felt like a perfect storm of different things. 6 of 29 3-point shooting overall. Now, yeah, a large portion of that is Fred and Jalen, but it also feels like something that they can look back on film and try and diversify the shot profile a little bit. On a night where Jalen and Fred are struggling that much, Fred doesn't need to take 19 shots. Jalen doesn't need to take 15. Dylan Brooks, who's been the best shooter on the team this season, should have gotten more attempts. Jabari Smith Jr. should have gotten more attempts. Hell, even Amin Thompson just getting downhill gives them a little bit of a different offensive profile than Jalen and Fred continuing to chuck. So I'm not that worried about it because it took really, really strong games from Steph and Jimmy. And yeah, you can sit here and say, yeah, they're capable of doing that 3 more times. They probably are. But I also think that their potential for faltering and not both having strong games is not, I don't know. I think it's a possibility with how hard the Rockets defense plays. They held the Warriors to 95 points. That's a winning final score if your offense doesn't just completely bottom out on you.
Do you have enough good shot creators on the perimeter offensively, you think, Jackson? Because it feels like Jalen Green was taking some rough shots. There's no one that consistently – because if the answer is no, then the Rockets just got to really play through Şengün like he's the clear-cut number one option, and there's a real gap with the next guy, and just throw him the ball almost every time down the floor.
No, Darian, you're absolutely right. And this has been the issue with that mantra that the Rockets have had this season. Sometimes you, sometimes me, always us. There isn't really a clear hierarchy, and that is a problem, and that's kind of an indictment of the coaching staff. And Ime Udoka needs to be able to like kind of iron that out and be like, all right, look, so-and-so has the hot hand. You got to feed him, right? Alperen Şengün was feasting, getting pretty much whatever he wanted against this Warriors defense. Maybe a little bit by design. They elected to guard him in single coverage most of the night, but he only got 1 shot attempt in the fourth quarter. 9.5 minutes, only 1 shot attempt. Jalen had 5 attempts. Fred had 5 attempts, and they both went 1 for 5 in that final quarter. That can't happen. You can't lose sight of who the best player is in a given matchup. And because the Rockets on any given night, one guy might be the best player, you've got to be able to identify in a given game, hey, this guy's got the hot hand. We got to keep feeding him. And they didn't do that in the fourth quarter.
I thought Amin was really good in the fourth quarter in terms of like, it looked like he was ready to take like the step up to the moment and make some plays. Like your lineup needs to be Fred, who like Fred had a bad shooting game, but Fred's a veteran and like at least knows how to run offense and can make big time shots.
I heard he's
like
a leader
Fred,
someone can rely on too.
Yeah, like Fred, Amin, Jabari, Adams, Şengün needs to be your starters and closers, and Jalen Green can chuck up some shots in the middle. Like that needs to be that needs to be the structure.
The problem is, even with Fred out there, and like this is the Rockets are reliant on Jalen Green. They need a version of Jalen Green that can self-create to an extent. They do, because unfortunately Fred, like watching Fred in the non-Şengün minutes is painful because he doesn't have any ability to get downhill. He doesn't have an ability to really generate great offense without the Rockets playing through Alperen Şengün. And those moments got really sticky without Şengün on the floor. So Jalen is the only other guy that can reliably self-create on this team outside of Şengün, and maybe a little bit of Min Thompson if he can get downhill, but that's it. And so the team is, unfortunately, for better or for worse, built around that. They need him to give at least a little bit of production, or they're going to have games like this where the offense just isn't enough. That's what you get when your two highest build, well, I guess Fred's the highest build player, but your two star players have to produce. And one star player did produce, but he didn't have somebody show up with them, to be able to put them over the hump in this game.
Amen and Şengün had a better offensive rating than the three of them together. Amen and Şengün without Jalen.
That's not surprising.
Well, let me ask you this, Jackson. Do you think, even with the concerns, the offensive struggles that Jalen has, can the Rockets even bench him in crunch time? Is that even, what I'm saying? He's the second pick in the draft. The Rockets have put so much into him. Like, has that even been a thing that's ever happened this season?
Yeah, they can and they should. Ime's shown a willingness to bench anybody at the end of games if they're struggling, if they're hurting the team, if they're holding the guys back. I almost wonder if there was a level of here in game one not wanting to use that as the resorting to benching Jalen here in game one from a confidence factor, right? It's game one, get the playoff jitters out of the way, your first taste of postseason basketball. You don't want to screw up his confidence by benching him and be like, hey, okay, you struggled, you're not going to be in there to close the game. I got to go with another option. Maybe that's babying. Maybe that's not the mentality it was at all. Maybe he really did think Jalen was going to be one of his best five guys to close out that game. But and I agree with Matt, the closing lineup shouldn't have included Jalen Green in this game. And for the other reasons, even though Fred VanVleet was absolutely struggling to hit shots too, he brings hard-nosed defense. He brings the ability to set the floor, set the table offensively, and he can spoon feed Alperen Şengün assists to get easy buckets underneath because he's the only guy that can hit LP on a seal down low when he's got good post position. So for all those reasons, Fred's got to be out there. Amin's got to be out there. He's your best defender. And pick your poison between two of the other three wings. Or if you want to go with the double big lineup, have Adams out there. But Jalen Green was killing the Rockets in this game. He was.
Rylan, what team after this game ones are you most confident can take 2 games off of the Thunder?
I would say I still would hold strong that Minnesota could do it, the Lakers could do it, and do more than that for the Lakers and the Timberwolves. And I still think that Denver would be no pushover, and neither would the Clippers. I think that the Thunder would win the second round matchup between whoever wins that first round game, but it wouldn't be in a sweep. It wouldn't be in 5 games. I think that there's too much respect for what is capable of happening with those two teams against OKC. But so for 2 games, it would be the 4-5 seed Minnesota and the Lakers.
Rylan, how dare you? Rockets took 2 games off the Thunder.
Okay, they had an extra game because of the NBA Cup. I mean, the 4 real regular season games they won once on the Fred VanVleet 38 ball. Congratulations, that's not going to happen. The Rockets aren't going to make it out of the first round, so who cares?
Jackson, the Mavs beat the Thunder 3 times this year without Luka, so I don't know if that's. Looking at their regular season losses is a great indicator.
The Rockets have 0 hope against the Thunder. They have 1% hope against the Warriors. Who's going to score the ball? You got what you wanted. You got a 95-point total from Golden State, and that's what happened. Nobody could score. There's no offense. Good luck. Good luck.
Are the Warriors going to? I know we're talking about the Rockets in the year of our Lord 2025 holding a team to 95 points and losing by double digits.
What are we talking about? Congratulations, you executed your perfect game plan.
And I agree with you, that's probably not likely to happen again. Teams just accidentally score 95 in the NBA now. But are we sure that the Rockets can keep a lid on Golden State to where they're only scoring 95 and that doesn't go up to 105 or 110 over the course of the series? Because I think there is can Houston win a game where they need to score 118 points to do it?
They can. And actually for the last 2 months of the regular season, once their shooting percentages started trending up and they were kind of hovering around 38% or so for the last month and a half of the season, their scoring totals went up. They looked like a much better offensive team. Some of it just boils down to knocking down shots in the half court because they do actually generate some wide open looks off of how defenses guard Alperen Şengün, how they sometimes blitz and trap Jalen Green. But there's just bad shooters up and down the roster. And again, a lot of credit to the Golden State Warriors defense in this game. They made the Rocket shooters uncomfortable. They ran them off the 3-point line, and they really put a lid on the basket as far as just collapsing in the paint. Rockets played in the crowd too much. They turned the ball over way too much in the second quarter. That was the quarter that killed them. They only put up 13 points in the second quarter, 7 turnovers, only 13 points, only 2 Rockets scored. Şengün was perfect, 4-4 from the floor. And then Dylan Brooks hit a 3 and had a bucket somewhere else in there. That's all you got.
I believe you, but they're going to make memes out of Nick's face for the first 18 seconds of that answer, because he was not buying what you were selling.
I love it. I'll take all the memes. My confidence hasn't wavered. Maybe it's irrational. We'll see how it goes.
Well,
come back to me after 6 or 7 games.
If you can't score the ball against anyone in general and then face the Thunder's defense, it's not a good recipe.
No, but look, here's the thing. Alperen Şengün was scoring the ball just fine. They just need to go back and realize that he needs to get 25 plus shot attempts. That's all. That's the recipe. Cut down on the threes from Jalen and Fred. Give Alp more touches. Don't ice out your best player in the fourth quarter. It's that simple.
Sure. It's that simple, I'm sure.
It's incredible.
Dump it into Şengün.
Are the Houston Rockets one Marvin Bagley away from a title? I think that's the question.
We'll talk about that on Locked On Rockets later today. Go check it out. Great shows all the time, guys. Go check out our newsletters, LockedOnDaily.com. All kinds of good stuff coming from all these hosts. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA Squad Show West.